Hey there, and welcome to the module Basic Principles. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So first thing to cover here is going to be hypertrophy. What is hypertrophy? Hypertrophy is the process of increasing muscle size or volume. So what drives hypertrophy in training? First and foremost, it's going to be mechanical tension or stretch under load. This is going to be something that we'll talk about a little bit more in detail in the future. Next up is metabolic stress. So when we are working out, we're using fuel resources, and this creates a waste product in our muscles known as a metabolite. So this can signal the system for change. And then finally, muscle damage. So when we get a really big pump in our muscle, we're going to be ripping that muscle fiber, especially if we're training with heavy loads under a full stretch. So that's something that the body is going to need to repair during recovery. So what are the best exercises for hypertrophy? So there are tons to choose from, and it kind of depends on your unique body of how you get the most out of each of the lifts. But here are a few basic principles to follow when you're selecting exercises. So first and foremost is going to be a full range. Next up is going to be a load in the stretch position. So for a bicep curl, for example, this is going to be the most contracted position, and this will be the most stretched position. So we want to figure out how to put the most load in the stretch position of an exercise. And then lastly, we want a mega pump out of this exercise. So this is going to be that giant buildup of metabolites. So if we're able to hit kind of these three things, full range of motion, loaded in the stretch position, and then getting kind of a pretty big pump out of it, those are three good signs that this exercise is going to cause hypertrophy for us. So let's go ahead and talk about strength then. What is strength and how does it differ than hypertrophy? So hypertrophy, again, is focused on creating a stimulus that signals the body to add tissue. Strength, on the other hand, is going to be a signal to the body to get stronger. So a bigger muscle, when trained as well as a smaller muscle, the larger muscle is going to be able to produce more force, so it will be stronger. So it's ideal to kind of train both these things, but if you were, for example, a power lifter limited to a certain weight class and you didn't want to add a bunch of tissue, but you needed to build strength, you'd think about using this process. So the process of building strength is by producing maximum force against resistance. So what drives strength development compared to hypertrophy? So for strength development, it's a neurological adaptation. It's your brain recruiting muscle fibers to fire at the same time to get you to be able to accomplish the lift that you're after. A huge thing that drives strength development is going to be progression. So it's asking your body to do these things consistently over a long period of time. That's how you get the most out of strength training. So what are the best exercises for strength? Something that allows you to produce maximum force. We think about like a compound movement like a deadlift or a squat or a bench press. Those are pretty good things compared to like a bicep curl that's going to allow you to produce maximum force. So max strength versus relative strength, this kind of comes down to numbers. So we want to chase kind of maximum strength if we're strength training. So those are going to be rep ranges around 1 to 5 reps, and then relative strength. So if we think about training with a higher rep scheme, something like 12 reps, we're not necessarily producing maximum force, but let's say we can do 12 reps with bicep curls of 15 pounds, and then the next week we get up to 20 pounds. That is a relative strength increase. While it doesn't necessarily reflect the maximum strength that we could be producing, it's still considered a strength adaptation. So strength and hypertrophy go hand in hand, and they're both advantageous to build together, but it's up to you as an athlete to decide what you want to do and how to periodize that in your training, and we'll talk about that in the future. So let's go ahead and jump into the next module. I'll see you there.